Hello everybody, thank you for watching today's video. In today's video we are going to go over setting up the Sinden Light Guns for both players 1 and 2. We will be using the latest Sinden software, which is up as of the making of this video to 2.07b, and that was released back in May of 2005. So you kind of use your timeline on the date when you actually watch this video on that. Now, if you're doing a version that is later than the one I just stated, the setup should be exactly the same. If there is any major changes or even minor changes, I will have an update video for that. So if you don't see an update video, then this video is what you follow to get any version done. And also you'll notice the shooting gallery icon in the thumbnail. So we are going to use Blamcon's Shooting Gallery as a test program to make sure that your guns are accurate and are working with all design buttons that we need to proceed with any other light gun game that we're going to set up in the future. Now, for some of you followers, this will be my first official start to the tutorials. I will also be doing some over the Reapers as well, and all the bells and whistles that we can get through on those. All right, and before we get started, I just want to do a quick thank you to my followers and even the new people who's watching now. When I started all this is like my third reiteration of videos. And going back to the very beginning, they were very rough. I'm talking, I just had a $30 Android camera, and my goal was just to show you how to set up your light guns so you don't have to go off and pay another $300, $400, $500 for a pre-made drive. That's going to end up giving you issues anyways. So I just wanted to show you straight up how to do it. And hopefully y'all didn't find any of that very hard. It may be hard to follow. Like I said, I had not so great hardware at the time. My second iteration, which I believe that's where most of you have followed me, which has been my previous videos before this, and they have been a lot better, but they could have been better. So that's my goal this time around. So I want to give you the most cleanest, clearest way and quickest to get everything set up. Previously went through using Launchbox as the backbone. What we're going to do in this one is use every emulator as a standalone. So we're going to do things on emulator basis, and we're going to incorporate a lot of auto hotkeying. Early on, we won't really need it, but in the more advanced emulators, we're going to be using a lot of auto hotkey. But trust me, you'll be masters by the time you're done. It's not really that hard. Once you learn that a lot of the auto hotkeying we're doing is basically going to be the same type of lines on just about every emulator. Okay, with all that out of the way now, let's go ahead and get this started. All right, first, I suggest that you go to this website right here. It's called sendenwiki.org/wiki/Sinden_wiki, or you can just Google Sinden Wiki and it'll come right up. We're going to loosely follow this because this hasn't really been updated in a while when it comes to the newer software, especially with anything that is 2 players, as far as the base setup goes. When it comes per emulator, that part does really stay updated pretty consistently, so you can always reference back to that whenever you're trying to set anything up. And this goes beyond just Sinden, but they do a great job on setting up the emulators and per game setups that can really work for any gun. So it doesn't matter what gun you're using. The only thing that's changing is your button commands on some of them, but outside of that, I mean, just the basis of downloading an emulator, getting emulator itself set up, getting the ROMs, is going to be straightforward no matter what type of light gun you're using. But having this one on standby, you're going to make a lot of references back to it. And through here, we can just go to buy Sinden Light Gun. I want to open this up as a separate tab. And we want to go to the Sinden store, or you can just Google Sinden and it'll take you to the homepage. We are going to go to software and scroll down to where it says Sinden Light Gun website software page. And we're going to want this one right here. This just has a few little fixes from the stable one. Nothing real noticeable if you're already on this one. But we're going to do this one just because it's the latest. I prefer to keep everything as updated as we can anytime I miss anything. Go ahead, click on it, download it. And if you get some type of error warning about the file. It's completely safe, completely fine. So just ignore the error and download the program. All right, and when you're done, it should say you're done. We can just go ahead and open up its location. All right, be taken to a zip file here. We can just open up the zip. You're going to see this folder right here, and we can drag and drop this wherever you want. Me, I want to use my E drive. If you recognize the V-Man, it's the old school V-Man stuff. That's some old school emulation right there, and he always had great stuff to share. All right, once we're in here, we just go ahead and drag and drop this folder. All right, now go ahead and close this file right here, or that screen. Open up your Sinden Light Gun software. Open up this folder. And actually, let's put a pause right here at the moment. I almost forgot the most important thing, and that is presetting your computer for this. You'll want to do this before you run this program. So let's go ahead and go back. Remember where you saved this and close this. Now, quick information on the Sinden hardware itself. The Sinden gun is very unique in the fact that it does not require IR lights, and everything is done through a camera within the lens. So, seeing that your computer is going to read the Sinden light guns as additional cameras along with extra mouse, there is going to need to be a little bit of pre-configuration to get started on. And let's go ahead and do that. Trust me, nothing's hard. It's not going to take long. But I like to build a foundation before we go any further. This keeps us from having any issues going any further, and I'll tell you how to fix any of that if we do. Okay, so remember the wiki page I talked about. Go ahead and go to the wiki page here, and let's go ahead and update a couple of files. This just makes sure that we're on a nice, good slate for the computer. So we are already ruling this out in case we get the error of called. Sorry, how to go back, but the error is going to be called unhandled exception errors. Now, these don't really narrow it down to one specific thing, but it does narrow it down to a few possible options. And if you want to have any problems with these guns, it's always going to be 90% of the time unhandled exception error. So let's go ahead and cover what we can now on this so we mitigate any of that going into the future. Now, I like to update both of these, and it doesn't matter if you already have these updated or not. It's not going to hurt anything. It can only help. So start with your Visual C++. Now, I'll be taking the screen right here. Just hit the download button. Pick any of these servers you want. I'm just going to go with the first one that pops up. All right, got my files. Got my zip open. And go ahead and create a dummy folder for this. When I say dummy, it's just a place to drop all these. You can delete that folder whenever you're done. I'm actually going to use this in the same folder that my Sinden is in, just to keep things clean. All right, so here's my Sinden folder. We'll open that up. And I'm just going to create a new one, and I'm just going to call it C update. Really doesn't matter what you name it. All right, now we're just going to copy all this, drop it to your folder you created. Then it's going to hit this right here, and it's going to run all of these. And you're just going to hit enter on all the prompts if it asks you anything. Or just zooming right through here. I said, it really doesn't take too long to get this done. And it's only going to help you and not hurt you. All right, so I completed. And I think it probably took on my end maybe 2 minutes tops. Not that long. Okay, go back to the page. We're going to do one more thing, and that's update the net framework. Okay, so I click on that. So you're going to have three options. This is the latest one up here. You can try that if you want, but I prefer to go with the stable one first. So we're just going to download this. Okay, go to your download. Yeah, we got one of those. Doesn't matter. It's all safe. Open location, start. And we're just going to go through and install this. All right, and you'll get a little pop-up box, confirm it, and there you go. So now we are updated on everything we need to be updated for. All right, next we need to pre-configure our computer. So go ahead and adjust some settings here. You can right-click Display Settings, or you can just go to your Settings tab in here. FYI, I'm using Windows 11, so if things are out of order and you're on 10, everything will still be in the same spots. You just may have to go a different route to get to it. Okay, let's start with our Bluetooth and devices. We'll need to adjust our mouse. Okay, make sure your mouse pointer speed's all the way up. If not, it's going to slow down your aiming. Enhance point position, have that off. If you're Windows 10, you might not see that yet. That would be in your advanced settings. Okay, but that's all the ones I see for now. Now we're going to go to additional mouse settings. Go to pointer options. Make sure you have that turned up. Make sure that is unchecked. And that should be it as far as your mouse goes. Click OK. Very important. We're going to go to our next part, and that's going to be your cameras. Go to your cameras. You just should see two cameras right here. And if you don't, that's fine as well. Because this is the same we need to go to. So don't worry about this if you see it or don't. But camera privacy settings is what you need to go to. Make sure you have camera access on. Make sure camera access is on here. Make sure you have let desktop access your camera, because that's what Sinden is going to be. And don't worry if you don't see none of this. This will populate once you actually start using the gun. So that's why I have a list here right now. If you never used your gun so far, you're not going to have anything here, and that's fine. Okay, once again, on, whatever. Make sure that is on. All right, one more thing, and very important, is make sure your Windows scaling is at 100%, not 125, not 150, 100%. Now, mine is going to be at 125, but that is just because I want to make things easier for everyone to see right here. If I leave it at 100, it all would be pretty tiny, especially if you're looking on a camera. But you would just make sure that stays at 100. A lot of games, that is going to matter. Your aim's going to be thrown off if it's not set. 1920 by 1080 is also a great display to have. A few emulators will only work in that setting. All right, and as far as the pre-work goes, that is done, except for one thing. I just want to point this out. Do make sure when you do have your guns plugged in that they do not share the same port hub. So if you have like all your ports on the front or all your ports in the back, make sure you don't have both guns plugged in to all the front ones or all the back ones. You can have one plugged to the back, one plugged to the side, one plugged to the top. Mine has some on top and some in the back. But you just don't want them sharing the same ports. Using external hubs is a hit and miss on that. For me, it works, but again, make sure that wherever you have that hub plugged into, you do not have the other gun sharing that. So if you do want to use ports to try to bring your guns outside of your cabinet or extend them, those ports will also need to be plugged into different port hubs on the computer. Oh, and one more thing, and this is probably the most important thing. If you don't want to be playing inside a dungeon with your lights off, or you want to play in a normal environment, on your monitor itself, you do want to make sure your brightness is up, preferably as close to 100% as you can before it washes out your screen. I know if sometimes you have that brightness too high, it could give like this weird overlay on it. And also, if you have a backlight option on your monitor, you want to make sure. Sorry, I had to put my phone on mute. It kept interrupting my video. Okay, so anyways, as I was saying, the backlight, do make sure you have that option turned up as well, just like the brightness. Whenever you change the modes on your monitor or your TV, whether it's game mode, whether especially economy mode, theater mode, or whatever, those will also affect the levels of your brightness and backlight. So you just want to make sure you check those settings and make sure they're up. If not, then you're not going to be able to play in the light, and you're going to be bitching about how Sinden doesn't work in light. It does, you just don't have those settings changed. Trust me, I know. I used to bitch until I found that out. Super easy fix, and guns work like a charm. I play with all my lights on in my living room. I play right next to a window where the sun's shining bright. Doesn't bother me at all. Okay, now that we got all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get this center program set up. All right, go to your folder, wherever program's at. You'll want Send in Windows Software, Sinden Light Gun. Go to the Light Gun application, and we open. All right, very first thing you need to do is make sure that you upgrade the guns. So just go ahead and select your light guns. We'll start with the B1. Get firmware info. Now mine's already updated. So if yours is already at version V1.9 and you did it with the enable joystick device clicked as well, then you should be fine. But I suggest do this anyways. Leave it at default. Unless you want to change the name of your gun, but you can just change the name of the color. I'm just going to leave it default so it stays black. And we're going to update selected firmware. Now, we're going to need two different Sinden instances, one for mouse mode and one for joystick device. But we're not going to worry about setting a joystick device until we start getting to the emulators that actually need that. But this is going to cover about 95% of anything that you're going to do with light gun gaming. All right, so once again, click your gun, select, get your info, enable joystick device, and you don't need to unplug or replug. I never had to. I never had an issue. Change your identity if you want to, leave it as is, and update selected firmware. It's going to take a little bit, could take a minute, may take a few seconds. Very important, do not unplug, do not turn off your computer, or you may break your device. Just like anything else, if you interrupt it during the middle of a firmware update, there's that possibility. Oh yeah, and click your OK. All right, everything looks good. Let's go ahead and clear this off now and do your second gun if you have a second gun. Now, if you have two guns that are the same color, two black, two red, two blue, two whatever, they're going to have the same name. So you don't want the guns to have the same name. So let's say, for instance, my red gun is a black gun as well. We don't want them having the same name because the PID number of each Sinden gun is tied to its name. And we got to have separate PID numbers when it comes to these emulators. And I'll explain to you a whole lot more in detail about that whenever we get into the main setup. PID is very utmost important to make sure you're going to have a good time. And I don't want to throw big words at you just yet about that right now. We'll get that in the main video. For now, let's pretend this is black. I want to select my light gun, get my info. All good here. So you can name it blue, black, shotgun, whatever. But I just want to name it player 2 because that's always going to be my player 2 gun. Make sure you enable joystick device. Hit OK. Don't need to unplug it or unplug it. I never had to, so you shouldn't have to either. Now hit update firmware. Hit OK. And now we wait. All right, and I don't think I hit player 2 on this one, so I'm going to try this again. But yeah, so the red gun itself is updated. Hit that. Enable joystick again. Got all that. Player 2, that's what I want this to read as. Okay, so brief issue I had, I kept hitting player 2 and it kept reverting back to default. So I did hit it, but it just kept going back to default. Close my program, you open it, and now we're good. So let's go ahead and try this again. I'm sorry, if you're new to watching my tutorials, one thing you'll learn, if there's going to be an issue that I've never had before, it's going to happen during recording. That's just how it always happens. Okay, so it finished up. Firmware is updated. It's still red as gun red, but once you hit the refresh button, then it should pop up as player 2 if you're doing player 2. Also, one thing you'll see, it changed your COM port. So instead of saying a 2, it is now COM port A. Now, remember that. And remember this COM port as well, because we're going to go into our next step. And this also goes to make sure we don't have any issues with sending going forward. I'd probably take a picture of this. I'd probably get a notepad and write this information down because it's going to be very important in the next step. All right, so go ahead and close this down. And we're going to open up our device manager. Okay, so it's going to come up. You'll see all these options. Don't let these options scare you. I'm going to walk you right through it. You're going to see one called Ports Common LPT. Go ahead, hit this to open it up. And you're going to see these common numbers. Now, very important, since the firmware may change your COM port number, make sure it does not share the same number as another device. I shot this video a few days ago, and like I said, you're gonna have issues that I never had before, and that was one of them. My black gun wasn't working after I'd done the firmware upgrade, and it turns out that this is my black gun. It changed the COM port to number 9. And look right here, I also have a device called number 9 as well. It gave me the unhandled exception error. But of course, this goes detail on what the reason was. I had to look into Chat GPT, gave it the error code, and this is the solution came up with, and of course it worked. So if you have to change your COM numbers, and mine's just a preference as well. I'd rather have my guns be set on COM 1 and 2. So all you would do is you could change just change one of your COM port numbers to one that is currently not being used. So just right click on your device, go to properties, port settings, and you'll go to advanced. Now, if you want to know which gun is using what, that's where the picture came in. On the Sinden program, it'll show you that black gun is using 1 and the player 2 gun was using COM 8. So it always tells you what COM port you're using by side of your gun inside that firmware page. So this is going to be player 2. I just want to move that to COM 2. So I'm going to go properties, port settings, advanced, and down here is the COM, and it's going to put it to COM 2. Now, you normally don't want to put it in COM 2 use, but that's just designated for my red gun. So I know it's not being used because my red gun now reads as player 2, but normally, or you just want to use it on one that does not say being used. What number you use does not matter. Now I want to go okay. Hit yes. Hit okay. Going to refresh, and now I'm using COM 1 and COM 2. All right, so once you confirm all this is good, nothing is sharing any COM devices, go ahead and close this out, and then we'll get back and reopen the Sinden software itself. Okay, and also you don't want to click this not yet, we'll get to that. But we got to make some adjustments up here before we go this far. All right, firmware upgrade, everything looks good. Our guns are reading as COM 1 and COM 2, or whatever comms you have yours set to. Pedal, I'm not going to cover the pedal because I don't have the pedal. Cursor offset, you will want this to match the size of your TV. I am using a 27-inch. Change that, it'll auto change right here. Hit save your settings. Do remember to save your settings. If you don't, you gotta do it all over again. Let's not worry about calibration just yet. Recoil, if you are on a Sinden Light Gun that has that, I don't, but I would assume you just click on that to activate it, enable recoil, and just play your settings around right here till you find a method that satisfies you. Hit save and update, and that should activate your recoil. Border, definitely uncheck this. What that does is it presents a black outline, then your white outline. You don't want that. You just want a white outline or nothing. All right, once you made that change, save your settings, go to the main tab here, and right here you're going to pick your gun. So I want black to be player 1, and of course auto player 2 is going to be my player 2 gun. Go to your settings down here, leave that checked, leave that off, leave that off. We're not activating joystick mode just yet. We will do that in a future video. So for now, we just want to make sure our guns are able to do joystick mode, which after the firmware update, they actively are. And this one, we will change that, but not just yet. We want, well, this actually does the recoil. So this is how you change your recoil on and off. So just read those instructions. Gangsta mode, I have it on auto because, why not? Enable D-pad to the left. Now, this is one we're going to uncheck after we already calibrated our gun because we don't want little Jimmy coming over playing with our guns and just hold the left pad for so long that it puts the gun in auto mode, in calibration mode, and then your calibration goes off. You don't want that. So you only want this on when you are ready to calibrate your gun. Once you get your gun calibrated, then come back, turn it off, and everything should be fine. Sleep mode, I do not like sleep mode. That is up to you if you want that. I want to turn it off. These you can minimize this to go down here if you want, or if you don't, just minimize down here. It's up to you. Me, I prefer to do it right here, but for simplicity of the video, I'm gonna leave these turned off. It'll work just as fine. All right, and go ahead and save your settings. All right, next let's go ahead and do our button assignment. Now we're going to follow mostly how the Sinden page has it worded. So let's go ahead and bring that up. Now you'll find it on the visual setup guide, so have it set to that and just scroll all the way down. And you're going to see the layout right here, so you want to match this. All right, pull this out so you can see it. So a quick explanation. Normal just means when your gun is pointing at the screen. Off screen means when your gun is not pointing at the screen. So you'll have different assignments for each of them, and I'll explain these as we change them. So a trigger is going to be mouse left, which that's always going to be your fire button. Pump action is mouse right, which is also going to be your reload button. Front left, we're actually going to change that to mouse middle, so let's raise that up. Rear left, we're going to change that to space. Now we can just scroll down until we come across space. Front right's going to be 1. That's just going to be the button you'll use to start your game. And that's going to be when your gun's shooting on screen. When you have it pointing off screen, it's actually going to be 5. And that's going to be your coin or select button. These are going to be your border buttons to rear right. Now going to the future, we're going to have borders baked into the game. So we'll no longer need to have a on board button for the gun on that. And of course, your basic left, right, down, up, etc. All right, now let's do the off screen. All right, same thing. So mouse right, mouse right, mouse right, mouse right. So normally on screen, that's going to be a mouse left. But whenever you pull your gun off screen to shoot, it'll be mouse right. So it's sharing the same button command as a reload. So that's how you're able to do off screen reloading in games. All right, change the starter one to mouse middle. Change this to escape. Now, this is just how you exit your game, so this will enable you to get out of games on your gun. And of course, we have our border button, everything's the same. We're just going ahead and save those settings. And now we're going to go to player 2, which is also button assignment B. And we're going to follow 99% the same pattern. Assignment B, left, right, front left's going to be at mouse middle. We're going to change rear left to Q. And anytime you do a letter, make sure it's lowercase. 2, that's just going to be the start button designed for player 2. 6 is the button designed for coin for player 2. All right, and then we're going to come over here again. Mouse right, mouse middle right here. escape. Now we're going to leave this blank, or you can leave that as Q. I'm just going to leave it blank. Because once again, if we have little Jimmy coming around with his friends playing, more likely little Jimmy's will be playing player 2. And you don't want little Jimmy to exit the game when you're in the middle of a boss fight in the near last level. A lot of time wasted. So this disables player 2 from having the ability to exit the game. And then all this can just stay the same. Once we're satisfied with that, double check, make sure it matches all this. Here, save settings. Going to go back to player button assignment A, hit my save settings. I don't think I did that last time. It's better safe than sorry. All right, my friends, and we are almost done with the setup. All right, come to your home button. We're going to check this. And once you do that, the Sinden software is going to try to start up. Yeah, you may get this error. That's fine. We're just going to continue and quit it. I'm just going to quit and start again. Okay, so now we are getting a unhandled exception error, and it reverts back to the port on COM2. So I guess it's forcing something else to use that COM2, which is fine. This gives me a chance to show you how to fix this once it comes up. So we're just going to revisit this one more time. I'm just going to hit quit, close, and we'll go to our device manager. Ports comms, and 2 is one I'm having issues with, so I'm just going to come here, right click, properties, port settings, advanced, and we're just going to choose one that's not being used. And we'll say COM8. Hit OK. Hit OK. Close this. All right, now let's go ahead and start the program up again. Now, the Sinden program can take a few seconds to fully open. Whenever you see okay, so yeah, you get the exception error, you redo your COM port number. I would advise that you restart your computer, and then everything should work fine after that. The Sinden program, it takes a few seconds to fully start up. Whenever you see the stop come out of the gray, that's how you know it's fully operational. From here, we can go ahead and jump into our main. You'll see our black gun, or the one that has separate player 1 is going to be right here. Player 2, same thing. Let's go ahead and double check our settings to make sure everything did save whenever we reopen this. We can check your firmware upgrade. You can see our COM ports, 1 black, COM8 player 2. We have cursor offsets, 27 inches for my TV. Yours probably be differently. Calibration, we haven't gone that far yet. Recoil, if you done recoil, all that should be saved. We haven't done button assignments yet. Border and main. Or maybe we did do button assignments. Sorry, this video's so long I'm forgetting what we done. But that'll be our next step. We didn't. Again, button assignment A right here. You can just follow this right here. This is how you want to have these set. Trigger, pump action, left, right, middle space. And same for button assignment B. All right, everything looks good here. So we did do our button assignments. Sorry, I had to redo this part like 5 times, so I'm a little flustered right now, but I'm caught up with the rest of you all now. So just verify that all this is still fine after we restarted the program. If it's not, go ahead and redo it and make sure you save your settings. Let's go to our main, and we're going to do what I call the blue screen test. So we're going to put our border up. You can Alt B or just hit your border button on your gun. I have this going. So I have my player 1 gun, and you're just going to run your mouse all the way around the white screen. Just to make sure you do keep a blue border. I'm too close right now, so that's why it's jittery. So I'm going to go ahead and get the recommended 1.5 to 2 feet away, or that's really 1.5 times the width of your screen. So I want to step back. All right, everything looks good there. I want to do the same thing with my second player gun. Okay, now the reason why you want to make sure you have that blue, so you can limit an aim issue between the program itself and the emulator. 95% of the time, the issue is going to be with the emulator and not the MAME itself. MAME is about as pixel perfect shot as you can get, assuming you have your alignment correctly and your gun can see the full blue screen. Now we'll go ahead and set the alignment itself. So we're going to go to calibration. We're going to start with the black gun and hold the D-pad to the left until you see that mouse icon centered to the screen. Okay, it's centered up, and you're going to want to point aim at the very tip of that icon. All right, and everything looks good to me there. Now we're going to do the same thing for your player 2 gun if you do have two guns. So hold left on the D-pad for that gun. Same thing, tip of the mouse. All right, that looks good to me. Now, if you're not happy with your alignment, you can just hold the D-pad to left again and realign and do that until you're happy. Let's go to main. I want to uncheck this because I don't want little Jimmy realign my guns for me mid-game. You only want this on when you're ready to realign your gun. But if you've done it once, unless you're on a different size TV, you really don't need to do that again. Be sure to save your settings here. Calibration, I believe that auto saves. All right, and we are good. So go ahead and close, uncheck these. This will just say processing power on the Sinden, since we already confirmed that is good, so we don't need those on anymore. You can turn these on if you ever want to come back in and troubleshoot. Go ahead and minimize this because we are going to do the Blamcon test now. I want to have this program linked below to download. Big thanks to Chris Patchy. He is the Blamcon guy, and that's a great gun. So if you're looking for another alternative for a gun, Blamcon's a great way to go. I do not have that. It's kind of out of my price range, but great quality. I do have Reapers, so I will be doing a setup for Reapers in the next video as well. Let's go ahead and use this. Now, this is going to be a patch to use for Sinden because you cannot bring the border up on it. This already has reshader on it. So whenever you launch this from the download, it's actually going to launch for you. So you'll open it up from the file, from the folder, and you're going to come right here to Shooting Gallery. Open it up, give it a second to open. Now, this is probably the best program to use to test your aim. Everything is pixel perfect on here. And we'll be able to test out all our mouse buttons and just to aim itself. You're going to point at the go and shoot that. So I can tell my trigger's already working. I can just move along and hit these targets. Reload, the game does not auto reload, so we're going to test with our pump action and then shoot off screen. So now we know our reload works that way. If you want to turn the mouse off or the cursor off, but also test your mouse middle is going to be your front left button. And I see how I can turn it on and off, so I know that works. And then you can really test your aim and see how good not only you are, but how well the Sinden Light Gun actually is lined up. So you turn the cursor off and just try to hit the targets. Okay, so everything looks fine to me. Outside of just my shitty shooting, the aim on the gun itself is fine. You're going to grab your second gun if you do have two guns and do the same thing. You don't have to change. You can actually pick right up where you left off. So I'm just going to turn the cursor back on, restart the game. And everything looks fine from me. So I can confirm everything's working the way it needs to. I go ahead and exit the game, and you're going to hit the gearbox in the upper left. And just hit the red X. All right. Anyways, that is it. The program itself is set up. You're ready to go. I want to do future videos on how to set it with emulators. The next one is going to be how to set up with MAME. So, anyways, I will catch you all then. You have a fantastic day, and I will see you later.